your craft.
Hey guys, this is Kaz with Elevate Your Craft, and welcome to episode number 16 of the podcast. Today's episode will act as a supplement to the push-up feature video that I released a little while back. It's some more insight and pointers that I've accumulated along the way, and I thought it'd really be good to do this because it'll give you more insight as to what goes on behind the progression. So, of course, in the video you see everything from the incline push-up to the tripod one-arm push-up. But I thought, you know what, why not offer some more insight that I've just kind of picked up along the way. That way, once you see the video, you'll know a little more and can maybe approach it in a way that you enjoy and you're more informed about it. So, getting into it, one of my favorite things about progressive calisthenics is that progression always brings something new and fresh. The techniques vary. There's always a new challenge ahead, and there are many different ways to manipulate training in order to introduce a huge amount of variety. And push-ups are definitely no exception. The overall goal that I have with the push-up feature video is to show others some of the progressions that exist and introduce progressive calisthenics. Within the video, I show a push-up progression that can help you reach some of the most advanced variations, but there are dozens of different push-up variations out there, and the video is not meant to show them all. What it can do is help you see what's there and then give you a place to start. So one of the things I've found to be very important through the process is having a long-term perspective, an eye on the big picture. Progression takes time, and it may move slower for some and faster for others. Push-ups have always been a strength of mine, so progression never felt slow or exceedingly difficult. And this, of course, comes with a ton of hard work. However, for you, progression may be slower with push-ups, and, for example, squat progress might be much smoother. So keeping an eye on the big picture can help you understand that it's a journey, and it's all about enjoying the process. Each progression is there for a reason, and maximizing your gains on each one will pay huge dividends down the line. I used to introduce timelines in my training and, for example, a time that I wanted to achieve a variation by. So, for example, say I wanted to do, a front lever, and I want to be able to do it in 5 months. But I found that ultimately it was disempowering, especially as you get more advanced. Just because it puts a cap on something and it just puts greater pressure on yourself when you really don't know how long it'll take to achieve that exercise. So now I've just learned to enjoy and celebrate where I'm at and keep working at it and not worry about how long it will take to progress. Just have the confidence that you'll get there and don't really worry about how long it takes you to get there. On this note, I just wanted to insert a little bit of advice that became apparent to me recently. Expanding on the idea of certain strengths and weaknesses, don't let these perceived weaknesses deter you from focusing on them. So if you don't have the confidence, for example, in pull-ups that you do in squats, don't avoid the pull-ups because of this. And I went through this very scenario in the past, and my progress with pull-ups suffered because of it. And I think it's more of a psychological thing because maybe we like to see ourselves at our best and really focus on that and perhaps find it hard to see or acknowledge these weaknesses in our training. It was a valuable lesson for me, though, because the opposite should be true. If it's a weakness, more focus and more effort should be put into improvement. And it might even help not to even consider it a weakness. It's just an area of improvement. Because ultimately, I thought of it that way for myself, and just thinking of it as a weakness all the time, I found was just disempowering, and changing your perspective might help you there. And that's just something that I wanted to throw in there because it came to mind, and I think that I'm probably not the only one that would go through that. Throughout my calisthenics career, structuring my progression has been an important part of keeping track of where I am and trying not to let certain areas fall behind. The above scenario, the pull-up scenario being an exception with more of an emotional cause. But one of the ways I've done this is by recording where I'm at, then a regression, and a progression. So in other words, a variation I'm very comfortable with, one that I am comfortable with but I still find challenging, then finally a variation that poses the greatest challenge based on my current capabilities. And I was first exposed to this from something that is completely unrelated to fitness training. It was actually in piano lessons where I was exposed to this practice method. And not only was it highly endorsed by my teacher, who I have a great respect for, thanks Janet, but I found it works very well. So for example, with push-ups, I'm currently at uneven push-ups, lever push-ups, and tripod one-arm push-ups. So the uneven push-ups are something that I'm comfortable with. The lever push-ups are something that I'm comfortable with but pose a challenge still. And then the tripod one-arm push-ups pose the greatest challenge. And this certainly doesn't mean that I avoid all other push-up variations. It's just a method that I use to understand where I'm at, and it gives me a nice view of the big picture while keeping it engaging and fun. And you may find that very little structure works best for you, more of an on-the-fly approach, which is certainly fine. The important thing is to just figure out how you like to approach exercise. So getting into the video a little bit more, I want to touch on some general pointers that I put together along the way. So number one, and this touches on the fundamentals. Always keep the back straight and the core engaged. If you find that your back is sagging or your hips are too high, your core isn't able to stabilize. So regressing is likely a good idea to get your strength up. It's a good idea to retract your scapula or your shoulder blades also to maximize engagement of the muscles. So, and I've discussed this in previous podcasts, but some of the ways that you're able to regress are by shortening the lever, maybe bringing the push-up to the knees, or using leverage to shift the hand placement and then make it a bit easier so that your core is able to stabilize, because the technique is very important. It not only for the exercise you're currently on, but it will help for future exercises where you're looking to progress. So, number two, the close push-up is a crucial exercise. And it's the first step in shifting more leverage to the shoulders, triceps, and elbows. So it's very important to build a solid foundation. Now keep in mind, the variation in the video has the hands touching. However, difficulty can be mitigated by inching your hands closer as you get stronger. So I kind of had my hands in a diamond shape, but if you're doing really well in your regular push-ups, for example, all you have to do is move your hands an inch closer, and that will progress the exercise, and you'll be making a lot better progress, say, if you were to just jump right to hands touching and trying to do the exercise that way. So overall, it's such a great exercise that should stay in your routine no matter how strong you get. And it's crucial in building enough strength to tackle uneven or unilateral variations. So don't be surprised if you find you're spending a lot of time on it. This is certainly not to take away from any variation. They all have their place. I just found the close push-up was so important to my training, and I spent a great deal of time improving it. Number three, as you progress to exercises like the close push-up, more and more emphasis is placed on the triceps, especially the long head, the tendons at the elbow, and shoulders. And this is sort of a supplement to number two, so I'm going into a bit more detail. But this is especially true for variations like uneven or lever push-ups. You may find that you aren't getting as much emphasis on the chest that you would like. And this could be helped by keeping a wider hand placement and the elbow outward. You can also incorporate wide push-ups into your routine to ensure you're covering your bases. In the video, I keep my elbow toward my torso, so there's a lot of emphasis on the triceps and shoulders, which again is crucial if you want to progress to more advanced variations like the aforementioned lever push-up or one-arm variations. Number four, understand why you're doing each of the progressions. And I've touched on this briefly already, but every step has its purpose. Each progression builds off of the other, and all deserve emphasis. It's really valuable to know, for example, the effect that the close push-up has as compared to the standard push-up, the effect that the lever push-up has versus the uneven push-up. Knowing things like this will allow you to really maximize your progress and see the importance of each step. Furthermore, it's important to note transitional exercises, which begin to shift more weight onto one arm instead of splitting between the two. So you might hear transitional exercise. So again, that's just a term for something that shifts more weight onto one limb instead of splitting it evenly. So an example would be, again, the uneven push-up. They're important because gradual progress can be made in order to transition to the unilateral variation. So be sure to really take advantage of those. Number 5, understand regression. So the reason I included the incline variations in the video is to illustrate how effective they are in making a push-up variation more manageable. Another great way is adjusting leverage or shortening the lever. Now this I didn't include in the video, but it is also a great way to mitigate difficulty. And if you want to learn more about it, I speak about it in detail in episode number 13. But you certainly aren't limited to the incline heights seen in the video. If you need to do the push-up using a higher incline, that's perfectly fine. If you do need to do knee push-ups, that works as well. The main thing is customizing your workouts to your capabilities so you can progress confidently. And the beauty of it is these concepts of regression can be applied to any variation. So keep that in mind. Even if you're getting into the most advanced exercises, you can always regress. Number 6, understand whether you want to emphasize strength, hypertrophy, or endurance. And that comes down to knowing what you want and how to approach your training. I speak about this in episode number 6, but you'll likely only be able to perform advanced variations for low reps. So they're generally great for building raw strength. And if you want size, you'll want to stick to simpler, regressed variations. For endurance, emphasize easier variations with a higher amount of reps. And knowing which you're looking for will help you achieve your goals quicker and more effectively. And please note, you'll improve each of these areas innately. However, keep these factors in mind if you want to emphasize one over the other. Number 7, always strive to improve your technique. As you get stronger and move on to more difficult progressions, don't sacrifice your technique to the point of injury, and take notice if you have difficulty performing it with some competency. And I've spoken previously about how you can allow for some imperfection with technique when progressing to more difficult variations, but this is as long as the ideal technique is in mind and the desire to achieve it is there. And this is clearly evident in looking at the tripod one-arm push-up in the video. Ideally, you want to have the feet together with no shift or twist of the torso, the core stabilized. However, it's something that I'm constantly improving on. I know the ideal, so I strive to achieve it. And this, of course, applies to all variations, and it's really the true test of whether you're able to perform an exercise and can help you determine whether you're ready to progress. And finally, just have fun. There are so many options to choose from and ways to train. The video is only one progression of many, and there are dozens of variations that I didn't include, but will definitely be featured in future videos. But that's the beauty of progressive calisthenics. There's always room for improvement and ways to make an exercise more or less difficult. So be sure to check out the videos. They're on my Facebook page. They're also on the Elevate Your Craft website, www.elevateyourcraft.net. You can also find the video on YouTube. If you like the podcast, be sure to follow it on Twitter at EYCKAS. That's EYCKAS. It's also the Facebook page, Elevate Your Craft, all one word. And I'm on Instagram as well at EYCKAS and Tumblr at EYCKAS. Thanks very much, guys, and I will talk to you again soon.